Welcome to LightHouse KinShip's devotional video, When God's Footprints Are Not Traceable, Follow His Heart. Bobby and I have hiked numerous trails that have no signs, markings, and have not been maintained. We are assuming that there is a waterfall somewhere on this path because the park's website says there is, but the path is difficult to follow.
Psalm 77, verses 14 and 17 amplified. You are the awesome God who works powerful wonders. You have demonstrated your power among the people. Your way of escape for your people was through the sea, and your paths through the great waters, and your footprints were not traceable. Today is Wednesday, May the 11th, 2022. Monica and I are here at one of the waterfalls along the Duck River at the Old Stone Fort State Park, Manchester, Tennessee.
As Bobby and I continue to turn the pages of our lives, God's footprints have become untraceable to us. We have been in a season of dark circumstances for many years. 1 Samuel chapter 25 gives the dark circumstances surrounding Abigail.
1 Samuel 25, verses 1 to 3 NLT. Now Samuel died, and all Israel gathered for his funeral. They buried him at his house in Ramah. Then David moved down to the wilderness of Maon. There was a wealthy man from Maon who owned property near the town of Carmel. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and it was sheep-shearing time. This man's name was Nabal, and his wife Abigail was a sensible and beautiful woman. But Nabal, a descendant of Caleb, was crude and mean in all his dealings.
Bobby and I can identify with Abigail being surrounded with the darkness of individuals' hearts who are arrogant, selfish, hateful, bitter, and begrudging. I am sure God's footprints for Abigail had become untraceable, just as God's footprints have become untraceable for us.
1 Samuel 25, verses 4 and 7 to 12 NIV. While David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. Now I hear that it is sheep-shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore, be favorable toward my men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them. When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. Nabal answered David's servants, Who is this David? Who is the son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where? David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word.
David and his men were asking for generosity, kindness, hospitality in return for the respect, protection, and well-meaning attitude and behavior that they had shown to Nabal and his household. Unfortunately, what David received from Nabal was not in any way what David expected.
1 Samuel 25, verse 12-13 NLT. So David's young men returned and told him what Nabal had said. Get your swords, was David's reply as he strapped on his own. Then 400 men started off with David, and 200 remained behind to guard their equipment.
David needed to be reminded that even though God's footprints were not visible, God's heart is always visible.
John 8, verse 31 and 32 NLT. Jesus said to the people who believed in him, You are truly my disciples if you remain faithful to my teachings, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Abigail was holding firmly to God's truth and clinging tightly to his heart, even though God's footprints were not traceable.
1 Samuel 25, verses 23 to 25, 32 and 33 and 35. NLT. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed low before him. She fell at his feet and said, I accept all blame in this matter, my lord. Please listen to what I have to say. I know Nabal is a wicked and ill-tempered man. Please don't pay any attention to him. He is a fool, just as his name suggests. But I never even saw the young men you sent." David replied to Abigail, "Praise the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you to meet me today. Thank God for your good sense. Bless you for keeping me from murder and from carrying out vengeance with my own hands." Then David accepted her present and told her, "Return home in peace. I have heard what you said. We will not kill your husband."
Bobby and I hold firmly to God's truth and cling tightly to His heart, even though we cannot trace His footprints during our season of dark circumstances.
Isaiah 41, verses 10 to 13, Amplified. "Do not fear anything, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Be assured I will help you. I will certainly take hold of you with my righteous right hand, and a hand of justice, of power, of victory, of salvation. Indeed, all those who are angry with you will be put to shame and humiliated. Those who strive against you will be as nothing and will perish. You shall search for those who quarrel with you, but will not find them. They who war against you will be as nothing at all. For I, the Lord your God, will keep hold of your right hand. I am the Lord, who says to you, do not fear, I will help you."
One night I dreamed a dream as I was walking along the beach with my Lord. Across the dark sky flashes scenes from my life. For each scene I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to me and one to my Lord. After the last scene of my life flashed before me, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that at many times along the path of my life, especially at the very lowest and saddest times, there was only one set of footprints. This really troubled me, so I asked the Lord about it. "Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed that during the saddest and most troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I didn't understand why, when I needed you the most, you would leave me." He whispered, "My precious child, I love you and will never leave you, never ever during your trials and testings. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you." Carolyn Joyce Carty. This concludes our devotional video of Lighthouse KinShip. When God's footprints are not traceable, follow His heart. Psalms 143, verse 8, NLT. "Let me hear of your unfailing love each morning, for I am trusting you. Show me where to walk, for I give myself to you."
Monica and I thank you for traveling along with us today here at the Big Falls on the Duck River at the Old Stone Fort State Park, Manchester, Tennessee. Come along a journey with us by subscribing to our channel. Hit the little notification bell so you won't miss our next stop. And please give us a thumbs up and help us to spread the gospel by sharing these videos on your social media platform. Thank you for leaving your comments below on how these devotions are helping you, and also your prayer requests on how we can pray for you.